the long-awaited Google Calendars video, you guys. Today we're going to talk about how I manage my time specifically with Google Calendars and use something called time blocking or calendar blocking or whatever the heck you want to call it. And the cool thing about this is that I'm actually doing this collaboration with Brooke Passmore. We've been talking about it for a while now and we are finally doing it, and that is to just see how we use Google Calendars differently. I use it to plan out literally every inch of my day because I'm a full-time author, and then Brooke has a full-time job and she plans out her time outside of work, from what I understand, and probably puts work on the calendar too, but you get the idea. Like, she uses it for her writing outside of that and her other life stuff. And so we just wanted to kind of collaborate and point you to each other's channels so that you could see more than one way of using Google Calendars, which is so fun. And also, if we're being super honest, this is going to show you just how much of a hot mess I am. So I was a little nervous about that, but we're gonna go with it and you're gonna see just how crazy it looks. So my goal when I started implementing Google Calendars was, first of all, to name every second of the day so that I knew how much of my to-do list I could actually get done. Because the truth is, I was putting a 48-hour amount of stuff into like a 24-hour day, and it just wasn't possible. And I knew that if I was going to make 2019 the year that I was no longer this crazy stressed about everything and just dealing with that constantly. And I knew that if I wanted to actually have time for myself and time for my husband and my family and friends and not work from literally the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, which is what I tend to do, then I needed to start getting some real scheduling. Before I show you guys my calendar and walk you through how to set one up for yourself and the different techniques that I like to use, I just want to explain why I'm using it so you can understand the benefits and just understand it. So number one, I wanted to name my time. I wanted to know where my time was going, because the truth is I was putting like a 48-hour day into a 24-hour day. It wasn't possible to do all the things that I wanted to do. And I had this crazy long to-do list. And no matter what, I couldn't fit it in. I could never get it done. And I never felt like I was doing enough. And you guys, if you've been doing that for over 2 years, it gets to you. It's painful. It's stressful. The stress is making it so that at this point in my life, I'm actually getting better now. But for a while there, I couldn't sleep. I was so stressed out to the point that I could not stop working. I was working from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I was like, I can't see family. I can't see friends. I don't have time for you guys. I'm sorry, but I don't have time. So I took a really close look at that last year. I don't even remember when. And I was like, there's got to be something I can do differently. I need to figure this out. And I also need me time again. I need to have time off. Like, I was working every day of the week, and a lot of family was telling me not to do that. And so I finally listened. I was like, you know what? I understand. And it might take me a while to really implement this, because when you're an entrepreneur, you truly want to give everything, like every second of the day. And I'm sure you guys understand that as writers, we are entrepreneurs. I think I've said that before. So it's really hard not to have guilt when you're not doing the thing that you think you should be doing, right? And I was like, you know what? It's time to face that. So the first thing that I was doing with Google Calendars is scheduling in sleep and downtime. Scheduling it in. So I was like, all right, well, now I have blocked off sleep and downtime in the evenings in theory, and this is how much time I have to work with. So whatever I can fit into that, that's what I'm getting done today. I just realized you can see the tax folders in the corner here. We are moving, like, as this video comes out. We're actually moving like the week this video comes out. And so I'm filming a lot of these videos in advance, and the background's getting a little crazy sometimes. So if you're noticing the background changing a lot, that's why. The second reason that I'm using Google Calendars is actually to see where my time is going. If you guys can relate to this, let me know in the comments, but I was like, where is my time going? Like, I know I watch a lot of Authortube videos. I know that I get sucked into Netflix in the evenings, and then I don't write until 1 a.m. But where's my time going? Because I need some downtime and I need to figure out like how to be more structured. Let's hop on over to Google Calendars and I'm going to show you how I like to set up my calendar at least and give you some ideas for your own if you'd like to try it. And then also I'll show you the hot mess that has been my calendar since I started. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to my Google Calendar. As you can see, I am currently in the YouTube recording Google Calendars block, followed by editing. And this video will come out on Thursday when I do the collaboration with Brooke. And so definitely make sure to check the description box below to go watch her video. But I'm gonna walk you through the Hot Mess Express that is my calendar. As you can see, this week I am moving. So there's literally a ton of moving blocks. It's even more messy than normal. A lot of these things are probably not going to happen. And so I just want you to know that the number one thing with this calendar is that things get moved a lot. So if I skip forward, these are more the standard blocks that I made. And as you can see, as soon as I go back into a schedule that I'm actually in, suddenly it doesn't look anything like that. So I'll just jump back a few weeks so you can get an idea. I've color coded so that I can see kind of at a glance where time is going. And as you can see, and I can see actually by looking back, I put a lot more time into content than I would really like to do, and a lot less time into writing and editing, which editing is green and writing is this pinkish color. And I noticed right away where my time is going. So part of Google Calendars for me is to figure out where my time is going. And to actually really take a serious look at it. This is what I want it to look like. I want to be writing in the mornings. I do want to have an actual lunch break, but I found myself consistently deleting this every single day. You'll notice that there's no lunch break. If you go backwards, I just keep working. The other thing that I really, really wanted to do was to create a very rigid done working time frame. But if you go back in time to weeks past, you will see that for the most part I pretty much delete the done working as well. And so here's a day where I actually made myself stop and take the day off, and it felt really nice. So that's one of my goals in creating this schedule, is to teach myself to take Sundays off. And to be done working at a specific time, and to get more standard about my start time as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this example calendar and close my actual calendar and show you how to create, first of all, kind of the standard stuff on your calendar. For me, the most standardized thing is sleeping. I know I want my sleep, so I'm going to put in a huge time block. Now for you, you might sleep a lot earlier than me, and you might be going to bed at like 9 and getting up super early at the crack of dawn. I'm just showing you, what I like to do. And then personally for me, I like to pick colors that coordinate to certain meanings. So if you saw the red always meant this is a non-negotiable, somebody else is going to be there, and depending on me, I need to get this done. I have pink as writing currently and green as editing. I have orange for my marketing series, so I can kind of differentiate between books. I have yellow for things that are supposed to be non-negotiable, like driving time, or in theory, lunch, although that's been moved around obviously. Blue is for content marketing. Purple is supposed to be for fun things, and then the gray is another kind of non-negotiable, but I'm not doing anything, like sleep or done working. There's no to-dos involved with gray. And so you can kind of figure out what you want your color scheme to be and pick your favorite colors. But for sleep, nothing is involved, so I'm doing this. The next thing that I want to do is I want this to be repeating. So I'm going to go and edit it, and I'm going to make sure that it repeats daily. Now, if you find that, oh, actually, I want this to start at, say, 11 p.m. at night, you'll notice that it'll actually keep your, what is that? I gave myself 10 hours. Wow. I really don't sleep 10 hours. I try to get 8 hours of sleep. But one thing I have noticed I've been doing in the past was that I was including my getting up and getting ready and just like calmer mornings within the sleeping time. But for the sake of this calendar, let's actually make it a little bit more accurate. Let's say 8 hours. and I want this to repeat daily, so I'm going to click save, and then you'll notice that it's now pulling through and it will be on every single week. The next thing that I want to be standard is the getting up and getting ready time, because as I mentioned before, I didn't really schedule this in, but obviously that's a big part of the day, so I'm going to give myself an hour, and then I'm going to go in and edit this to what I called my non-negotiable, but it's only dependent on me, is the yellow time. And I always forget to do this when I'm setting up a block calendar, but I want it to repeat daily in this case. The cool thing about this is that if you have a specific day where you get up differently, you can move it and you can change it for just that particular event, like that. I'm going to put it back though. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to have a Monday through Friday type thing. So say for example, I want to spend the first 2 hours of my morning writing. If you were getting up at 6 a.m. and writing for an hour or 2 hours every day before work, you could do the same thing. You just put it on your time period. And I could write, and then you could put the book name or just leave it with writing time. And I'm going to make this a Monday through Friday thing right here. Look how pretty that is. Okay, I have a lot more going into my days, as you saw, but let's say for the sake of time, we're gonna keep our days really, really simple. So let's say, for example, I want to edit right after I write, because it's sort of the same headspace, and I could edit a different book. I could do it for 2 hours as well every day, Monday through Friday. This is seriously not at all what my calendar looks like, but I'm just showing you how to name and claim your time. So you know what you have on your to-do list, and you know generally where things should be. And so I really do think that the point of this calendar for me is to give myself a little more me time. So I really have been trying to be intentional about lunch. Every weekday. Still working on that, but that's the goal. And then I could start to differentiate. Say on Mondays, I know that I'm very content focused. I do things like my YouTube videos. I do things like prepare my Instagram photos and ideas, and I just brainstorm a lot of content all in one day. So I'm going to call this a content block, and then you can write in your notes. 3 YouTube videos, film and edit, upload to YouTube, and then we can have plan Instagram content for the month, answer all YouTube comments, for example, and things like that. You get the idea. So I'm going to have this repeat only on Mondays. And that way you'll notice that it's not carrying on through the week, but if you go into the following weeks, it's something that you want to be pretty standard. And the cool thing about this is, as time goes on, if you notice that something isn't working for your schedule, you can go in to edit it. Maybe the best day for you is actually Thursdays, so you can switch it to Thursdays, and you'll see that it's weekly. And then when you click save, you can say, yes, I would like to update all following events. So you're updating your schedule to be more permanent in the future on Thursdays. If you have any regular commitments that you know you're going to be working on, for example, Brittany and I have this Save the Cat live streams, every single week for a certain number of weeks. You can put that on your calendar as something that's custom. So you can go in and say, I do want it to repeat every single Wednesday, and then I want it to repeat for, say, in our case, we have 10 of them. So after 10 occurrences, it'll be done repeating. And if I save that, you'll notice that the Save the Cat live streams are now on every Wednesday for a certain number of weeks. The idea of this is to know where your time is going. Another thing that I really do want to do on a regular basis is actually start taking nights off. So I want to put off work. Come on. And then I want it to be one of those things where there's no to-do list involved and it's repeating every single day. And that's my little heads up that I should be done working. I want to have some me time where there's no to-do list involved. I'm hanging out with my husband. I'm not on social media and that kind of stuff. And so maybe I also want to start scheduling in reading time. This is really not something I would do daily, but maybe you want to read daily. I actually, if I'm being realistic, I'm going to get rid of that. I tend to read in large chunks. So if I really was being realistic, I would put a read and relax day on Saturdays. This is sort of like my me time color, my happy place color. So there you go. And then another thing that I like to do is say at the end of a work day, if this was the end of my work day, I could put a miscellaneous block where over time I'll kind of track what do I have left most days and what do I really feel like, so I'm scheduling in time to catch up on things that I don't know what they're going to be yet, but I want to make sure that I leave time for them. The idea of calendar blocking is to make it work for you. So let's say, for example, that you're one of probably most of the people watching this video who has either like a full-time job or you are a student or whatever you might do. So you have, say, a 9 to 5, or in my case, when I worked 9 to 6, and that's your work time. You're going to make it repeat every day of the week permanently. There you go. So that's your work time. Now looking at this, you're probably going to have your own schedule at work, whatever you do there, and so you're going to see that none of your, writing time fits. So maybe you decide that you want to try to write in the mornings. And to be able to write at 7 a.m., you're going to have to start getting up at 6 a.m. to write, which means that now the sleep schedule needs to bump back to this for all events. So now we have a schedule where you're getting up at 6, you're getting ready for the day. At 7, you sit down to write for 2 hours. This is a really big block of time, by the way. 2 hours is a lot. You could do an hour and get a lot done, but maybe you need some breaks in between there to just think and whatever. Maybe you have to put a commute time in here as well, depending on what you do for work. But you get the idea. And then let's say that after work, you come home. We're going to rename this, and I'm going to rename it to dinner, but I'm also going to consider the time that it takes to cook it. So let's actually give you just like 2 hours, which is dinner, downtime. Okay, and that's every single weekday. When we save it, we want it to save to always. All right, and let's say that every day after you've written, you want to come home and you want to take a little time to read it. Let's put this here and try this out. Now, we've just run out of time, but the truth is you probably don't need 2 hours. What if you put in an hour a day on editing instead? And what if most days you actually are going to Netflix here and you just take some you time, or you go to bed and you read that book that you've been wanting to read so bad, and this is you time, and it repeats every day of the week. So the cool thing about this is that you've just put time for yourself on the calendar with zero guilt, and you know that, maybe if your sleep schedule changes, you could bump this later, but then that would be affecting these days. So you're getting a really good picture of what happens if you stay up late Netflixing. You're cutting into your writing time in the morning, or maybe you don't really need that much time some mornings, and like certain days of the week you write less, and then you allow yourself to get up later, like this. And then the last thing is, well, what if you have this content block and a certain day of the week you want to be doing content? Well, maybe you can put that on a Saturday, and you can chunk off a whole day here, and you're still able to go out with friends, get stuff done on Sundays, whatever you need to do. You can block off your time, and it just gives you such a good picture of where your time is going. So this is just an example of calendar blocking to give you a picture. I love the idea of putting in your standards, the things that you have to do, and then playing with it to make it work for you. So that's really the ultimate goal, guys. That's what I'm hoping you'll get out of this video, is how can you make it work for you in your schedule. Every single week is different for me. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that you're going to see between my calendar and Brooke's calendar, because she told me and explained that hers is pretty standardized, which is so cool, and I want that desperately. So my goal is to eventually get to a place where I've blocked this off. If I've figured out the best time for me is actually the middle of the night, and I need to put it at 11 until, say, 2 in the morning every single week, and make that repeat daily, that can be my new time block, and I can make that for all following events. And so I need to definitely sit down. My goal was to do this calendar for 3 months, so I started in January, and I wanted to go until the end of March, and then I want to take on April 1st, probably, a very, very close look at this calendar and start to rearrange things and ask myself, where should things really go? And take a look at where my time is going up here and ask myself, where am I spending, well, probably not this week, but ask myself, why am I doing so much content? Do I need to be doing this much content? Could I make a full content day every Monday and knock it all out on Mondays, for example, and not write it all on Mondays, but then have a full writing day on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or more than one day, and then use like a Friday for a catch-up day for my miscellaneous block? So I could get a lot more specific. I'm going to link below Amy Landino. Her calendars are amazing, you guys, and she has so many calendar blocking tips. So I'm going to link that below if you want more ideas on how to calendar block, and let me know what you think of it, if there's anything else that you would add to your calendar for a block that I haven't thought of, because I'm so excited to keep exploring this and learning. I really, really want to make this work for me, and I encourage you to make it work for you and make it really, really unique to you. And that's my biggest encouragement. So thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you again next week. Just a reminder that the first book in the Marketing for Authors series, How Your Book Sells Itself, is coming out in less than 2 weeks, which is so cool and so exciting. Make sure you go to the description box below and sign up to get an email alert on release day. It's a one-time only email where we send you a heads up, this book is out in the world and you can go get it now at this link. So it kind of helps you take away all the worries about having to remember it or go find it later. It's gonna come to you. If you wanna watch the cover reveal or the blurb and release day reveal and find out why we're not doing pre-orders, I'll put the links below for those videos as well. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up on your way out, and then also subscribe if you have not already, and there's a little bell next to the subscribe button that will let you get notifications every time I have a new video. That's about it for today, so I hope you have a guy. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!